Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to this week's community show hosted by Center for Constitutional Governance and Civic Space TV. Today we are examining and looking at Uganda's technological advancement journey. How is Uganda in this area? How far are we? What are those major advancements, and what are the challenges, and how do we move forward? We shall have special people to help us substantiate this and to help us understand this journey. And I am joined by Vaolah, Amumpaire, an innovator, an entrepreneur, Boaz, Namanya, also, and he will introduce himself, and Joshua. So let us now get the conversation started, and we would like to begin with Joshua. So yeah, our panelists will introduce themselves and deep dive into the discussion, sharing with us what events or how they look at the technological advancement of Uganda in the past, for these past 60 years. Importantly, they'll explain to us what their view of technological advancement is. Over to you, Joshua.
Joshua is my name, Joshua Mulwana, and I'm the CEO at Malticard. Yeah, it's a digital company that deals in digital business cards, but our cards are really multi-purpose, and they also do clock in, clock out, company ID, can do payments, but as per now, we're focusing on the business cards. Yeah, so that is for the introduction. And if I'm to start with technological field in Uganda, well, my view is that I feel like it's really growing, though a lot is missing and really needs to be done to change the game in Uganda. Yeah, for example, I'll give you an example. When I went to Rwanda, yeah, one of the first drivers of changing the technological field is, for example, data costs. Yeah, Rwanda has made it very cheap for people to actually get access to data, so they're able to push various projects. Yeah, I feel like we are getting there, but if we are to actually go past such humps, for example, I think the playing field would be better for small companies, and we'll be able to match up with the other bigger organizations. And then maybe the other thing I've seen that goes to funding. Yeah, funding, and very many small businesses don't have actually access to funding. People have great ideas, very good ideas, but they need that small push. Yeah, and I'm happy the likes of NSSF and Mastercard Foundation, for example, have come up with initiatives like High Innovator, where small tech businesses, or in whatever field you are, people actually given a chance to pitch, and then given this small funding that actually helps them to push to the next step and maybe get to tap into bigger markets and grow their market base. And yeah, so I think that's my first overview in relation to the tech world in Uganda.
And my name is Vaolah Amumpaire. I'm the founder and CEO of Wena. Wena is an online space that is bringing together all construction industry players and solutions. And my overview of the technology space or sector right now, as Uganda celebrates 60 years of independence, is that compared to the past years, at least for the past 10 or so years, Uganda has been able to play closely with the rest of the world in terms of technology, ranging from broadcasting. We've seen, especially during the lockdown, we are able to have live broadcast of that from the different parts of the country, but also to be able to catch up with what the rest of the world was facing, something that was not possible in Uganda maybe a few years back. We've seen a boost in e-commerce, where we are also playing as Wena, and many other different e-shops. We've also seen Jumia, we've seen Global, and many other players in the market. And there is also a boost in e-learning. I think most people acknowledge that e-learning is possible, especially during the lockdown. But also we have current programs that are running, especially for entrepreneurs, where people are able to learn regardless of where they are. And this brings down the different barriers that have been caused with who is able to travel to access quality education. So, but we've also seen manufacturing that is a boost of technology advancement. So in the past, maybe 10 or at most 15 years, I can say Uganda's technology space has grown, and I'm sure I will be able to discuss the different aspects in detail according to how it has boosted the different sectors, but also what the challenges are currently.
Thank you very much. My name is Boaz Namanya. I am a journalist and currently media consultant at the Aga Khan University, Graduate School of Media and Communications, and also into data and a lot to do with journalism. So as we can look at Uganda's journey of technological advancement compared to what has been there in the past, we can see that a lot has changed, a lot has improved. If we are to look into the, especially to do with the media, the other years we had a lot of black and white, then papers, and like print media, how there were always those delays. We had the Uganda August, that was the most popular paper, if my mind serves me right. But currently we can even have live broadcasts. We have radio broadcasting even online. We have TV. You can have live broadcasts everywhere. So a lot to do with the media has improved. And if we can even look at the manufacturing industry, if we can look at communication, if we can look currently like what the Uganda Investment Authority is doing. Previously, when it was starting, a lot hadn't been confirmed that it would change, but today you will see this is being started, then the other one is improving. So a lot I can say, even if we looked at the online businesses, glad I am on this with most, they are saying they are CEOs. And I know most of them are running their businesses mostly online. And that also shows the step we have taken as a country to have a lot improved to do with technology. But of course, there are those more challenges that are coming up. We even have, I don't know if it is okay if I mention that sometimes even the government hinders the progress of those online businesses. We can look at how Facebook was locked during the elections, but we are not yet into the challenges, and I'm not hitting on any government personally. But a lot I can say has improved, and Uganda is growing much more better in technology.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We are now going to, you've discussed some of the improvements that you've experienced or you note, and some of the things you do. I think also I agree that Uganda has gone a great mile in technological advancement, and importantly in our technology was the opening of the Owen Falls Dam, and we had in the 50s, and then we had the electricity, throughout the country. That was one major technological advancement that saw us, I think, improve quite greatly in the 60s, where Uganda's economy was doing amazingly well, and later in the 90s and early 2000s. Importantly, of course, the universities, we saw in the 80s, University of Science and Technology in Bara being set up, which has also spurred more innovation in medicine, in ICT, then Chambogo University, Makerere University, and then other universities continue to produce, to take Uganda forward in this technological advancement. We have had innovations from those universities, and the most recent one, and one that has many people talking, is always the Kira EV, where there is a project inspired by Professor Tagboa, and it is into construction of cars, or assembling of cars, or making of cars, as you like, electric cars in Uganda. Whereas it is promising, it still, has many issues, but that could be something that a person can attribute to technology and say we are indeed going forward. But importantly, many Ugandans, many people in Uganda are entrepreneurs. People are always thinking, always innovating. We have something that perhaps hadn't happened before, called anywhere else, called Safe Border, where Uganda's commonest means of transport, which is using motorcycles for from here to there, was digitized, and people with smartphones now can always call a border, and they don't even now have to negotiate prices. That has happened, and it's sort of like an Uber, but border. And there are very many other startups that have come to bridge that gap. And I mean, name it. So I would say Uganda is doing is progressing in that area, and in the NDP3 there was prioritization of technology, ICT infrastructure to spur innovation and technical advancement. It's being prioritized. Of course, there are other challenges that, like, we are going to explain, such as low funding. Ministry of ICT is not being funded well like it should be, but also there are serious regulatory challenges, like Joshua mentioned, cost of data, connectivity ratio in Uganda. Perhaps we are the lowest at least among the three, or I could say, first members of the East African community. And if you add Rwanda, we are still also doing low compared to them when it comes to connectivity and also the cost of internet. But yeah, maybe we could have a contribution from any of you to add on to that. Can we begin with you, Joshua, again? You could further this conversation, but also you can tell us some of the challenges that you think are hindering us from being the technological country we should be.
Well, apart from what I mentioned earlier, for me, I try comparing Uganda to our neighbors, for example, Kenya and Rwanda mostly. It is the small things that they get right that make a difference. I'll give you an example. Okay, Uganda have made some improvements in digital payments as well. Yeah. as compared to, let's say, 5 years ago. But you see, we're trying to go into a cashless economy, right? Yeah. But even these transaction charges, yeah, they're really, really, really high. We're trying to sell convenience, but we're selling it at a high price. Yeah. If you have to look at the likes of Kenya, for example, what Safaricom has done in Kenya, it's really it's like they're 10 years ahead of us. Yeah. Kenya is almost like a cashless.
So personally, I think what we need to do as a country is, first of all, we have a challenge of adaptability, whereby the citizens themselves take a bit of time to adapt to new technology. And as Joshua mentioned, whereas we are selling convenience, the definition of convenience to the citizens comes off different. So you find that what the innovators consider as convenient is not what the users or the would-be users are considering as convenient. So that brings a gap. But what the world out there is actually considering as convenient is not being taken on easily and fast by most of the citizens in Uganda. So that brings a lag on how fast innovators can roll out their products and what other innovative products can be brought to market. Let's also look at the laws. Most of the government entities right now are not using lots of the locally innovated products in terms of technology, and that goes back to the laws. Recently, if you had to look at the statement that was released by the president and also Ministry of Internal Affairs, they mention how they do not conduct their business online. So that brings a fact to what I am saying, that even when we have an online space that was actually being used during the lockdown to communicate the status of COVID-19, the same government comes up and says we do not use this space to do our official duties, as opposed to it being included in the different channels that they use to engage with the citizenry. So it's a gap both in the laws, but also the practical sense of what the government can do and can utilize, so that it fosters how other people are also adapting and using technology. We've mentioned about the cost, but also the reach. When you look at the coverage of for example, the good roads, which is also part of technology and advancement, the network itself of mobile phones and internet connectivity, you find that there is a gap between the villages and also the urban areas. We are looking at 4G and 3G and 2G, but some people are even struggling to just have normal voice call network. So there is still a gap in the reach and coverage of some of these technology advancements, especially with the telephone and internet connectivity. But also I will look at a challenge where the private sector is not enough. Yes, we can blame the government, but at the end of the day, if you look at our neighbors like Kenya, you'll find that it's a private entity that has done most of the investment to boost the technology advancement in the country. So as Ugandans, it would be best that if the government can let investors, maybe local or international investors, boost the technology advancements in terms of investment, then it is going to bring down the cost, but also be able to enable people to acquire all these different things at a lower cost, hence improving adaptability. Thank you.
Thank you. Boaz, what's your say on this? What are those challenges that we are encountering that that are sort of hindering our advancement in this space?
Thank you, Martin. Now, if you look at how things run in Uganda, I would blame most of these on how the government has conducted its business and how it has sent the message of innovation and technology to the people. Because if you look around, most of the things look like they are mostly politicized. Vaolah earlier mentioned about the statements by the government that they don't run their business online. If it were some other person, a normal person like Boaz, saying whatever the first son said, mentioned on Twitter, this and that, I wouldn't even be alive now. I don't know. That left at that. But you see how now they come again and, but I think it's because it's a PR thing, so they have to do their thing. But again, if you look at how the government itself locked Facebook during the other days of elections, of campaigns, remember most of our young innovators were running their businesses online, mostly Facebook or mostly Twitter or WhatsApp, whatever it is, and they looked it. Now imagine the president himself, he doesn't have mind or even think about those young innovators, because he has advisors who tell him, no, we have young people who are coming up with this and that. Because I've usually seen commissioning things, commissioning businesses of young people. He's usually, whenever he goes into commissioning the Uganda Investment Authority's businesses, he mentions about youth unemployment. But I don't know what his advisors tell him whenever it comes to the youth unemployment. But again, how the people perceive this. When something is launched, for instance, in the agribusinesses sector, still, because the other day I saw Frank Tumwebaze, he was commissioning something I've forgotten. I'm sorry. But there was a debate online that now he has eaten the other money and he has used it to the balance to just come up with this, just hoodwink people. Now you can imagine how people think that. Now, if you look at that, so you realize that even people no longer have trust in this government. I think everyone is on their own. That is how they take it. But it is upon us to start, coming up with our own ideas, how we can approach people, how we can sensitize them about the technology, how it is advancing, and how it can be impactful on people, on our businesses, on the future. Then the other thing is security, data security. Uber and these other safe borders, whatever, how their data is usually stolen, or how hackers get it into their systems. And you find you are ordering an Uber, yet in real sense, you are ordering an Uber from a thief or a thug, and you'll be robbed on your way. So, because if I'm robbed today by Uber or by someone pretending or masquerading as an Uber person, there's no way I'm going to use Uber again. So data security, it depends on how those who come up with their systems or with their innovations, how they are going to mend their data, how they are going to secure their data, how they are going to make sure that their customers are safe and their experience with them is good. So about that cybersecurity or data privacy, it also means a lot when it comes to technological advancement or technology building. Then the advancing data opportunities and the cost containment. A lot of those mostly online businesses, because when we talk about technology, you earlier mentioned about how we had power, how we had electricity in the other years. Yes, we had electricity, but then our fathers or our grandfathers never had these mobile phones. Those who had even had the other brick size phones. We used to call them Safari. So they didn't experience what we are experiencing today. Most of them didn't even know, didn't have a chance to experience what Zoom does. Actually, most of us got a chance to use Zoom because of the lockdown. So, because if the lockdown hadn't happened, most of us wouldn't even be knowing about the Zoom. So, I think some things even come up because of other issues. So cost of sustaining their business, some innovation, some business online. If it has to do with data, if it has to do with what now someone will look like YouTube, like these YouTubers we have today. Someone look at how do I watch this 30 or 100 minutes clip or what videos on YouTube, how will I gain my data or what? So they will find they are not even, they are losing their people because some of the other, to be customers or to be whatever supporters are not able, or maybe they lose interest because they can't, manage to pay for some of the services. But a lot still, I will say a lot has changed if we are to look at Uganda's technology and the development as it is.
Thank you, Boaz. Yeah, and it's interesting. There are some figures here that the ministry, from the Ministry of ICT. Actually, technology is one of the movers of our economy, and in 2021, the revenue from e-commerce, for example, generated Uganda $220 million US, and it is of course estimated to grow at 17.6%. In this year and even more next year, and we are by 2015. It's hoped that we shall be earning annually about $421 million US. That is double. And internet penetration and e-commerce penetration is expected to grow by 29.1%. But we still have challenges, of course, with the internet connectivity. Now, contrast the amount we gain from e-commerce and technological, sort of revenue that is due to technology. Contrast it with the money that we as a country give, as a budget, in the budget allocation, what the Ministry of ICT, and that is 274.4 billion shillings. It's still very, very low. Of course, the other players you've mentioned, the NSSF helping, and many, many, many non-for-profit organizations, but also very many private companies that are encouraging development, entering into partnerships, others being joint venture companies that are investing heavily in the space of technology and ICT to further boost and also solve the problems of society, as well as earning them money. There are very many. However, I mean, it's important that this is increased, to also encourage to fund more, so that we have more solutions-oriented innovations, and where the government encourages people to bridge gaps, in the social well-being of the people. Because when you just leave it to the private sector, then it would honestly become also quite expensive for people to access many of these products that, as a result of heavy investment from joint ventures and also from other private innovators. I want to come to you, Joshua, as we wrap up this conversation. What do you think is our solution, or what are our solutions? How should we embed this space to encourage innovation, to encourage technological advancement, to spur development, to spur growth, and also the social well-being of people? What do you think should be done? And any tips, on how a person can be a successful innovator and contribute to this technological space as we realize our NDP3 as a country?
Okay, for me, I feel like for starters, mentorship is key. Yes, mentorship is really, 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 really key, because very many people need guidance. Yeah, for example, even if organizations, the non-profit put in money to actually boost these small enterprises, people need to be mentored on how to actually use these funds to better their businesses. Yeah, the people need to be shown the future, that if maybe you invest in this in relation to a business, this will be the outcome, and people need that mentorship. Yeah, and then I think the government also has to help in putting down, okay, not really putting down, but reducing fees for standardization of various things in various SMEs and innovations. Yeah, be it UNBS, and have to make the system so seamless and simple, because some of these processes actually scare away people. Yeah, you begin a process to legitimize your process. Let me say you're into production, and then everything is just, there's too much red tape, so people end up giving up. So I feel like they should really help with that. And yes, and as I said before, the funding is also needed. Yeah, because very many businesses are at a stage where family members are like, you know what, I think we have really invested enough in you in relation to, you guys are now need like 2M to do this and this. They are at a stage where banks can't really take the chance on them. You get at a stage where venture capitalists are also skeptical. So this is where the government needs to come in and put more funds in seed funding, yeah, to get these organizations to kick off and stabilize their businesses. I think that would be a better thing for small enterprises, innovations, and the tech sector in Uganda at large.
Yes, thank you very much, Joshua. Yes, as we go to you, Vaolah. Yes, I totally agree with you that yes, people have to yes, a mentorship and partnerships is very important. That is what I think venture capitalists have come in to address. They have formed joint ventures with people at home, people in Uganda, and innovators in Uganda, which is in a way breaching that gap that has largely been left by the government, and it is, helping. The challenge is that many of these venture capitalists are not based in Uganda, so the profit and the money will definitely go to the countries that, to their countries. And, there will still be a lot of I don't know whether it's called expatriation or where capital or profit is removed from the country where it's actually where the profit is really made and then it's transferred elsewhere, transfer of profits, which it may not necessarily help our economy. Vaolah, what do you think we should do to, as a country to realize part of the NDP3 through technological advancement? How do we make this space better?
So what I think is needs to be done is one, sensitization. It will surprise you that even some of the people in government offices do not know that technology and use of technologies is legal. So the assumption is if you're doing a tech-related business or a business online, then you are just running a scam, which is not true. So people need to be sensitized to understand that they are legal businesses that operate online, that meet all the legal requirements to actually but to be legal businesses. So there is need for sensitization among citizens, but also the government officers or people in government different offices. Then there is also need to focus on regional reach. You find that most of the technology advancements are largely in Kampala and not outside Kampala. So that limits how many people can actually appreciate technology, how many innovators can actually be forward thinking and think about different ways and how to innovate and solve different community problems using technology, but also to think about how to use the already existing technology. And this is simply because they do not have an appreciation in areas where they are, either due to cost or due to lack of devices or due to lack of knowledge in areas where they are. And thirdly, I think there is need to subsidize the cost of technology. The government can come in and one, reduce the taxes that increase the cost of technology. Two, the actual cost in terms of buying maybe equipment, maybe data, maybe even just you buying a new phone, how much does it cost? So if there can be a way these different devices or different things that enable use of technology can be subsidized in terms of costing, I do believe we are going to advance just like our neighbors, Rwanda and Kenya. And then lastly, I think there is also need to focus on education. We've seen lots of schools that are taking on computer classes, and it's now part of the curriculum. But then I do not think that there is a reality. I don't know how best I can put it, but there is more of theory than actual practice of use of computers and use of technology. And that for me is where all the knowledge, where all the information, and where the learning actually should start. So if our schools will be enabled and supported to teach pupils and students on how to use technology, then they will come off more informed. They'll be able to use technology to advance their learning, but also develop and innovate solutions that solve community problems. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Vaolah, for that. Yes, I mean, also come to think about it, it's the government has to be serious in this space and show goodwill. For example, you cannot claim to say you're supporting technology when local solutions, local innovators are not supported. The innovators who should be supported, for example, to solve some of the problems, and they're struggling. New Vision in Wena's story on June 17th, 2021. This story was this article was Simon Okitela, who quoted a lady who is an innovator, and her solution is, she's called Funaride App. That's her innovation. She wants to sort of cut on the jam that people experience, daily, and that is in traffic. And she was expressing her dismay that they're not receiving any kind of support. And in any case, they have looked for calls for funding, they've looked for calls for bidding, that government is inviting people to solve certain issues, not even with the local authorities like Kampala City Authority are, calling them or are running some support for innovators that are trying to solve some of the perpetual challenges like pollution in Kampala, for example, like traffic jam, like garbage, name it. I think it's important that we look at the solutions, that look at the challenges that people face in a daily life and look for innovators that are trying to solve them. But also a government that claims to be involved or liking technology should not have Facebook blocked to this very day as part of communication and information technology, because that is very key. The communication part of technology is still very important, and you can't run away from it. Many people use these platforms to trade. Many people use these platforms for classes, for lessons, to contact also their clientele, to contact their producers, name it. But to still have Facebook blocked in a country that wants to fast track the fourth industrial revolution, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, Boaz, Namanya, yes, as we conclude, please.
Yeah,
and also give your parting shots.
It's interesting, but the same government that locked Facebook uses Facebook. So you look at so, and that unseriousness, I don't know if that word exists in English. So the unseriousness of the government has sent more shocks of skepticism among the people, among the masses. I remember when I sat down with my colleague, who was starting something called Bachiga TV. We didn't have money. We are broke, like our government claims that they are broke, yet they have money to fund useless things. When we started sharing links, someone said, Boaz waenda kwiba ibushesentos here. Literally that I wanted, but it was like a scam because I didn't have money. So now that skepticism, how we can get it out of the people, I think it is to us to start our people, mind our business. Our young innovators. Well, some of the government agencies, we have seen NSSF, we have seen UCC, Uganda Communications Commission, we have seen URA, I think, we have seen even private businesses, we have seen Stanbic Bank launching or commissioning some prizes, some competitions,
better,
awards, just to keep the young innovators. I focus so much on the young people because the other generation is now going away, and it is up to us now to mind our future, our generation, how we are going to make it, how we are going to win the other side. So we have seen them organize those awards, those prizes, sponsoring some things to do with innovation. So that will somehow push those who have a passion in innovation, or even those who would pick it up to join innovation, somehow join it and like it, or maybe they will In Rushiga, we call it Okusisitiriza. Huh? That is like Uganda. But somehow they would join. So if the government would come up with such things, maybe they can organize some competitions and they say, okay, today we are going to launch tech innovations. We are starting with those who can do agribusinesses, those who can do this. Then somehow the people would pick up and join the track. But if you are to look at the same government, I think Vaolah mentioned sensitization. Our government launched a business processing outsourcing incubation center. That was, I think, around 2012, 2013. But I can assure you, most of the innovators don't know that it exists. That thing was, by the time it started, it was being run by around three private, I think 3 or 4 private companies. But the government doesn't sensitize. Maybe it does, but I think it is still not to what our expectations are. So the government has to do that sensitization. We have to look at those, most touching tech plans as the government. And the other thing, I think it is still back to the people. If you know someone who is starting up something, just give them hope that it will work, because if you tell them about the government, by the time it starts caring about technology, if you wait for it, then you will have not done anything. So it is up to us to instill hope in those young people to start up some things. If you can keep pushing, then you can get there. That is all I can say about tech innovation, and especially the young people. In general, I can still say the government is trying, but if it keeps focusing so much on political useless things and forgetting about the generations and the issues that matter to the people, then our technological development or advancement will keep that low. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vaolah, have in 1 minute, say, the last word, and maybe also encourage innovators as you as you sign out. Yes, Vaolah.
So innovators have a role to play in advancing technology for our country. And we've had a few hiccups here and there, but we have to appreciate that what we have currently can enable us achieve a lot and boost and also create paths for other innovators in years to come. So I encourage all of us not to give up, but also to add our voice to what has been said, what is always being said, so that the playing field is made better to enable our businesses and all our innovations prosper. I appreciate this space that Civic Space TV is always creating for us innovators and as entrepreneurs in this space to always come and share what we think about what is going on in this space. I congratulate Uganda upon making it to 60 years of independence. It's not something we should take for granted. Many other states have not been able to celebrate even 20 years of their independence. Lots of wars, lots of uncertainties that can happen. So congratulations to all Ugandans. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to all Ugandans, to the Ugandan fraternity, and all friends of Uganda. We believe that moving forward, Uganda will be a more amiable environment to investment. It will be a more welcoming space for investors, and we shall continue to encourage investment in technology, in ICT. We should also note that technology is not only limited to information technology, it is also all communication technology. It goes into very many aspects. There's technology in the day-to-day life of many Ugandans and many sectors, including in the medical space, where there is a lot of technological advancement there. And we applaud our scientists for the work they are doing and innovators in that space for all they're doing to ensure that technology serves the purpose of saving lives and promoting better livelihoods of people and better health. We give it up all to people who are doing a lot in the works and transportation sector, innovators who have done an amazing job in ensuring that movement of people, their goods is easy, is convenient. Technology in the security space, technology in the agricultural sector, which is quite a lot there. Thank you to the innovators there. We also encourage technology in the mining sector so that we ensure that all that is done is sustainable to ensure a better world, better environment, better climate for us and those to come. I thank our conversationists who have been on this call, on this show, and I wish all of you a blessed week. See you soon.